We begin today the Gemara on the bottom of Daf Yud Amud Beis, 3 lines from the bottom of the Amud, where it says, Umi Ikke Lamanda Amar. The Gemara before brought a machlekes here between Rish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan regarding the kinyan of Chotzer, whether it works for a katana. Rish Lakish says, by a katana, there's no kinyan of Chotzer. And the Gemara explained before, the reason is because according to Rish Lakish, the kinyan of Chotzer is learned out from the concept of shlichus. Just like there's a din of shlichus, from that we understand misvara that a person's chotzer is kind for him. So therefore by katana, if there's no shlichus, so there's no kinyan of chotzer. On the other hand, Rabbi Yochanan says the kinyan of a chotzer works for a katana as well, because the source of kinyan chotzer is like a yad. We learn out from the psukim where it's like a yad. So therefore, just like a katana could be kaina with her own yad, so too with a chotzer, she could also be kaina. That was the machlekes. Yeah, by a get. Talking over here, we're talking about when a get, throwing a get to a katana, so she'll be able to be kind of the get. So the Gemara asks now this. We're holding 3 lines from the bottom of the Amud. Is there any mandama that says that the source of kinyan chotzer is not because it's compared to the yad of the person? But Vatanya, we learned in the Braise, yoda. And the Torah says that the husband gives the get to his wife, v'nosam biyoda. That's the pasuk. He puts it into her hand. Ein liyala yoda. I would think only if he puts it into her hands. Gaga, chatzeira, v'karfifa minayin. How do I know if he puts it on a rooftop or a courtyard or another area that belongs to her? Talmud loymar v'nosan. You read the word v'nosan separately, mikol moken, to say that you kinda, even if it's just placed in her domain, not in her hands. So Rashi says the drasha is because the pasuk could have or should have said uviyoda yitnehu. Then it would be clear that the Torah means to say only in the hands. The fact that it first says v'nosan and afterwards it says biyoda, so we darshan v'nosan separately. Because of la sefer Chris is v'nosan, that the get is hers even if it's not in her hands, even if you put it into her chotzer. So what do we see over here? That there's a clear brayso that says that we need the drasha from this pasuk of v'nosan, that not only in the yad, literally, but even in a chotzer, you also are going to be kainet, like a yad, and we're not learning it out from shlichus. If what the Gemara said before is true, that according to the Shlakish, you learn it from shlichus, there's no reason to learn it out over here from this drasha of v'nosan. It's just similar to shlichus. A chotzer is like a person's agent because it's his domain. So why are we bringing this drasha here? So the Gemara answers, le'inyin get, that it says like this. When it comes to a get, kula malei pligi, nobody argues, the chotzer mishum yodes rabbi, that the source of the kinyan of chotzer comes from the drasha that it's like a yad. And therefore the kinyan by a get for a katana should work. Because if a yad is kaina for her, the chotzer should also be kaina. Ki pligi le'inyin metzia. Where's the argument of Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish regarding a katana being kind in a chotzer? That is regarding a lost object that comes into the chotzer, whether it should be kind or not. Mar sovar yalfina metzia me get. Rabbi Yochanan says if we find regarding a get that she gets divorced when the get is placed into her chotzer, the same thing is also regarding a metzia. We compare them to each other. Mar sovar, but Rish Lakish holds lo yalfina metzia me get. We do not compare, we don't learn out a mitzvah from get, and the reason is because a get is an inyan of isser, to be mat to her through receiving the get, not to be eshes ish, and by a mitzvah, it's an inyan of dinei mominus, it's a matter of a kinyan, to be kaina. So we don't compare the halacha of mominus to the halacha that the Torah says regarding a get. So that's the machlokes of Rabbi Yochanan and Shlakish is specifically b'negeya to dinei mominus, by a mitzvah, not b'negeya to a get. Sorry, v'ibay seime, or the Gemara says another pshat. The katana kulam alei pligi. Regarding a katana, since we see here this pasuk v'nosam biyoda, person gives the get to his wife, and it includes a katana that her chotzer is like a yad. So over there, nobody argues that she'll be kaina, and also the yalfina mitziyah meget. So regarding a katana, since we find regarding her that her chotzer is kind of like her yad, the same will be regarding the mitziyah as well. But v'hacha bekatan kamifliki. Over here, the argument between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish was regarding a cotton. Marsova yalfin and cotton mekatana. Rabbi Yochanan says we compare a cotton to a katana. If we see by the Torah says regarding a katana that her chotz is like her hand, so the same chiddush we compare and apply to a cotton. Marsova, but Rish Lakish says lo yalfin and cotton mektana. We don't compare the cotton to a katana. The fact that by a katana we see a chiddush atayra that chotzer has a koyach like a yad, that's a special chiddush. By a get regarding a katana, to give her the koyach to be divorced. And we compare the same thing also regarding a metzia, but not regarding a cotton. So before in the Gemara, when Rabbi Yechon and Rish Lakish argued, according to this version, they weren't arguing about a katana. They were arguing dafka about a cotton. Now the Pshat the Gemara says on this, or we could say, Ma'ar machade, or Ma'ar machade, v'loi pligi. Rabbi Yechon and Rish Lakish that spoke about this subject, each one was saying one point, and they're not arguing b'chlal. So Rashi says two pshatim in this. Either they're not arguing because Rabbi Yechon that said that it's kaina was speaking about a get. Regarding a get, over there he said that the chotz is kaina for a katana. Rish Lakish says that it's not kaina, it was speaking about a metzia. A metzia is a different thing, it's dinei mamonis, you don't compare. You don't compare to a get. Or Rashi says, the other pshat that the Gemara just mentioned, that Rabbi Yechon was talking about a katana, and over there it's kaina, and Rish Lakish was talking about a cotton. And we don't compare a cotton to a katana, and there it's not kaina. So they're not arguing b'chlal. Zok Deilege Mishnah. Another halach here, this Mishnah is also going to continue this inyan when we get to the kinyan of a chotzer. Ra ison rotzin acha metzia. A person sees people that are running after a metzia. In other words, there's an animal or there's something that they're chasing, some hefker animal. Acha tzvi shavor. They're running after a deer that has a broken foot and it can't run fast. They're able to reach it. They're able to catch it. Or they're running after these little birds that are not old enough yet to be able to fly. So they're running after it, and they can reach it, they can catch it. And this deer or these birds or whatever it is, they came into this person's property, and the person's standing there, and he says, "My field should be zeicha for me." So he's zeicha. However, if it's a deer that could run quick and it could run and you can't reach it, or it's birds that can fly and they fly and you can't reach it, and it runs through his field or it flies through his field, and the person standing there and saying, "My field should be zeicha." So then he didn't say anything because they're not shomor in his field. They're just running through, flying through his field. It's not holding them there. So therefore, it's not kaina b'chlal. Amar Rav Yehuda Mashmuel said about the halacha that the Mishnah said here. V'hu she'omed b'tzad tzadeu. When it says in the Mishnah here that this person is kaina, this metzia, in his property, as long as he can reach it, that's something that is only if he is actually standing there. He has to be standing there. Some say he has to be standing mamish inside his property, or at least beside his property, in order to be able to kaina. Why shouldn't this property be kind for him, even if he's not standing there? The property of a person is kind even without his awareness, even if he's not standing there. So the Gemara answers, it depends. That's if it's a property that's guarded, that has a wall around it, and then it's kind of something's inside without you standing there. If it's a chotzer that's not guarded, does not have a wall around it, if you're standing there by your property, you're going to be kaina. But if you're not standing by your property, you're not going to be kaina. And the Gemara understands that our Mishnah, when it's talking about this deer that's running and runs into your property, it's talking about a property that's not mishtameres, so it runs into your property. So you're only going to be kaina if you're standing there. That's why Rav Yehuda Mashmuel said this on our Mishnah.
But the first case is talking about a Metzia.
Yeah, the whole Mishnah is talking about a Metzia.
No, the Metzia that can't do anything. The Metzia is the thing that's lying there.
Okay.
It's just he could move slowly. So you have
move slowly.
But the Metzia he can't move at all.
Correct. Yeah. Okay.
So that should be pshita.
That what?
That should be kind of. What are you doing in my field?
I'm not sure what you're saying. If
what's someone else coming into my field taking something that's on the floor?
Yeah, but if there's a metzia that has to fly into your field somehow, has to come into your field some kind of way. Either someone put it there, or the wind blew it there, or in this case, a deer walked into your property. How did it get into your property? So it gets into the person's property some kind of way. As if the person's standing there, and then it's going to be kaina. If not, he won't be kaina. So here, the whole next Gemara that we're going to learn, the whole blat is going to discuss this subject. This halacha that Gemara is mechadesher that a chotzer she'edim mishtameres is only kaina if you're standing there. What's the source of this? What's the source to say that if it's a courtyard that you own, but it's not guarded, if you're standing there by the property, then you'll be kaina iloy. And if you're not standing there, you won't be kaina. So the source is walls or a gate, a fence, something to guard the property. So here, this is not a guarded property. So it's only kaina if you're standing there. What's the source? Tanya, because we learned to the Braise halacha regarding the mitzvah of shikha. When a person is collecting the tvua in his property and he forgets one or two, you have to leave it for the poor people. So it says in the Braise, the Tanya, a person is in the city. He's not out there by his field. And the person says like this. Here, the Braise is talking about a case where a person has workers. He hired workers to do the job over there in the field for him. And he's in the city. And he says, I know that the tvua that I have in the field, my workers forgot some of it. And he says that he doesn't want it to be shikha because I remember it. So in such a case, I would think that even if now this person that was relying on his workers, and therefore he says that it should not be shikha, but if then his workers forgot it, and he also forgot it afterwards, I would think that it should not be shikha. Talmud loymar. So we learn from the pasuk, v'shachachta oimer basada. A person forgets when he's in the field. Basada v'shachachta v'loy be'ir. If you forget when you're in the field, then it will be shikha, but not if you forget in the city. Okay, so now this Braise over here is not clear. The drasha of what it's teaching regarding the halacha that the Braise says does not make sense. As the Gemara asks right away. Ha gufa kashya. The Braise seems to contradict itself. Amrit, in the beginning, the Braise seems to be saying that what? Yachol lo yeshikha. When a person is in the city, and he says that I'm relying on the workers, and then later the workers forgot it, and he forgot it, and the Braise says, I would think it's not shikha. Alma, so what I see is, what's the point that the Braise is trying to say? Have a shikha. The Braise is trying to say that even when you're in the city, and you forget so the tvua that you had in the field, it will be shikha. And then afterwards, v'nosav lo gemara, and what's the drasha that the Braise brings on this? Basada v'shachachta v'loy be'ir. It brings the drasha to say that the whole shikha is only if when you're standing in the field and there you forgot, and not if you're in the city and you forgot. So Amaloy have a shikha. So this drasha seems to be saying the opposite, that when you're in the city and there you forget, that what you forgot will not be shikha. So how do we learn pshat in this Braise? So therefore the Gemara says, Elo lav hachikama. Don't you think that what this Braise is saying is as follows? There are two different scenarios over here regarding a person that hired workers in his property and then he forgets. So hachikama, the pshat is as follows. Basade, when a person is standing there by his field, shachuach me'karoi have a shikha. If he is doing the work there in his field and he forgot the tvua in his field, that will be shikha. Zachor, but if he remembers what he has in the field, and what happened is, again, the case here is he's relying on workers to do the job, so he remembers exactly what he has to what he has to take there from his field, and he's relying on the workers. And then because he relied on the workers, what happened was the workers forgot it, and then he forgot also. So in such a case, ein shikha. When you relied on the workers and then afterwards you forgot, it's not going to be shikha. My time, why not? The tiv in the koi gaba. Because since you're standing there by the field, this is tvua that you noticed and you know about and you were planning on taking it. You just hired workers to go and take it for you, and you're standing over there. So this is your property, and therefore you're zeiche in it because you remember this in the beginning. You know about this tvua there. You're planning on taking it. You hired workers to take it. So even if the workers forgot it, but if you're standing there, you feel it will be kind for you. That's if you're standing by your property. But when a person is in the city, so over here, when you leave the property and you're by the city, so over here where you hired workers to go and take the tvua for you, so you didn't forget, you knew about this tvua, and you hired workers to go and take it. But then you left the place, you went to the city. And now you relied on the workers and they left it, and then you also forgot about it because you hired these workers. Have you shikha, but over here it will be shikha. Why will it be shikha? My time the less gabe, the liskile. Because the person is not there. Because he left the place. So because he's not near his property, so therefore over here, when he forgets it, even though in the beginning he knows about it and he hired workers to go and take it, nevertheless, once he left, now it's he forgot about it, and therefore it's going to be shikha. So what's the point here? What do you see? So over here, this is the source the Gemara says, where you see this idea that you have the property. And this is a chatzah she'edim mishtameres. It's a property that's open, it's not guarded. If he's standing there, so then if he relied on the workers, he knew about it, even though if later he forgot it, the workers forgot it, he forgot it, but because he's standing there, it's going to be zeicha for him. But if he's in the city, and then the workers were supposed to take it, and they didn't take it, so then too bad. Now he's not there, so he's not zeicha, and it will become shikha. And that's the drasha that the Braisa was saying. That in the field, it becomes shikha if you forgot it in the beginning, but not if you forgot it later. In the city, it becomes shikha even if you forgot it later. It will also become shikha. That's how the Gemara is darshaning this now.
But he has to say a day on it.
Huh? Yeah. That's the whole point of here. Zachor lebesayv shechuach means that the person knew of this tefur from the beginning.
But he's saying it.
Okay. So it says it. Yeah. Okay. That's the Gemara. So this is the source. This is how we understand the drasha and this brayso. So this is the source to say that there's a difference if he's standing near the sada or he went to the city. So why? Because it's a chatzah she'edim mishtameres. Says the Gemara. How do you know to learn the brayso this way? Mimai. Dilme. Maybe I can just tell you. Learn the brayso more simple. Gzeiris hakosevi. Maybe the brayso is simply coming to tell me a gzeiris hakosev. The basade nahavi shikha. When a person is in the field and he forgets tvua there, then there's a din of shikha. Be'ir, if a person is in the city and he forgets something in the field when he's in the city, he relied on workers and he forgets when he's in the city, lo navi shikha. Then it's not shikha. He can go back to the field, even though the workers forgot it, he can go back to the field and take it. So Rashi explains that what the Gemara is trying to say right now is that maybe we really have to change the girsa of the Braisa. In the Braisa before, it said, Lo yehei shikha, yachol lo yehei shikha. But now the Gemara is saying that maybe you have to read the Braisa, yachol yehei shikha. That I would think that if he's in the city and he forgets, it would be shikha. And the Gemara brings the pasuk, no. If you're in the field and you forget, then it's shikha. If you went to the city and you forgot, it will not be shikha. So this has nothing to do with the Indian of ken you chotzer, that you knew about it and you forgot. Nothing to do with the fact that it's a chotzer she'edim mishtameres, whether you're standing there, whether you're not. Maybe the pasuk is simply saying gzeiras hakosov, that the whole concept of forgetting something in the field that belongs to poor people is when you're standing there. If you forget about it when you're in the city, so the Indian of shikha does not apply because you're not there. So maybe this is gzeiras hakosov specifically regarding shikha. So the Gemara asks him this. No, this can't be the pshat in the Braisa. Ubi'ir loyna have a shikha. 1 second. That's probably just read that. So the Gemara says no. Omakro. The Torah says loisoshuv lekachtai. Do not go back and take what you forgot. What is this extra pasuk here coming to say? L'rabbis shikha seir. It says that even if a person left the property and is in the city and there he forgot about the tvua, he doesn't have to be present there and forget in order for it to belong to the poor people. Even if he left and he forgot, he's in the city, there's also the din of shikha. So therefore we can't say that the pshat in the Braisa simply is that the din of shikha is when he's in the sadeh and not when he's in the ear. Because there's a pasuk that we learn from that there is the din of shikha even if you forget when you're in the city. So the Gemara asks him this. No, how are you learning from this pasuk here? It's not an extra pasuk. This pasuk l'sashuv l'kachtoi is the source. It's a lav coming to say that when you forgot it, you have to leave it for the poor people, and if you take it, there's a lav. So it's not an extra pasuk. How are we darshaning this? So the Gemara says no. There's still extra words here. Imkei ne'mekra lo yisikachenu. Pasuk could have just said that if you forget it, don't take it. My loisoshuv. Why does he use this expression of loisoshuv lekachtai? L'rabbis shikachasir. The extra word is coming to say that even if you're in the city and you forget, there's also a din of shikha. The Gemara asks on this extra word loisoshuv as well. Vakati mi nan. But still, we have another din that we learned in the Mishnah regarding this word of loisoshuv. What does the Mishnah say? Shalafanov ein shikha. When a person is in his field and he's walking down the rows and he's collecting the tefuah, whatever is in front of him, there's no shikha there yet because the person's heading in that direction. Shala achra, what's behind him and he forgot, yes shikha. Over there's shikha. Why? Shuhu beval toshuv, because bal toshuv means don't go back. If you have to go back, so then you can't go back anymore. Zeh klal kol shu beval toshuv. Shikha, if you have to turn back, then there's shikha. Kol she'enu beval toshuv, if it's ahead of you, then there's any shikha. Then there's no shikha. So the words leisashuv is not extra either. So therefore the Gemara says, how do we know to say that if you forget when you're in the city, there still will be a din of shikha? Ravashi says, oh makra, but there's still an extra word in the pasuk here. Afterwards it says, yihya. The pasuk here says, by the pasuk of shikha there, it says, leisashuv lekachtoi, leger, liyasam, lamona yihya. That word yihya, l'rabba is shikha seir. That's coming to add that even if you're not by the field, even if you're in the city, there still is a din of shikha. So therefore, the Gemara here, the conclusion is, we can't learn the pshat and the braisa that there's exeris hakosov, that when you're in the field there's shikha, and when you're in the city there's no shikha. There is shikha even when you're in the city. Elamai, go back to the pshat that the Gemara said before, when you hired workers, you knew about it, you were planning on taking it, and then afterwards you forgot about it. So over here we make a chiluk. When you're standing by the field, because you knew about it, l'chatchila, and you hired workers, you feel this kind of for you. The chatzah she'ena mishtameres is kind of because you're standing there. But if you left to the city, so then later you forgot. If you hired workers and you knew about it, but then you went to the city, so your chatzah can't be kind for you. So therefore, it's going to become shikha. So this is the source for this halacha that by a chatzah she'ena mishtameres, you have to be standing there in order to be kind.
What's the reasoning? How do you learn from Yiyah?
It's extra pasuk, extra word. Yiyah, it's an extra word to say that it goes. Yeah, I understand. It's just extra word. Yiyah, that even here there's in the city. Yiyah, that's going even on if it's in the city. Extra word. Ula said the same halacha as Rav Yehuda Mashmul, that v'hu sha'imid b'tzad tzadeu, that a chatzah she'ena mishtameres is only kaina if you're standing there by the field. You have to be standing there in order for the chatzah to be kaina. So this Eisvei Rababa asked Ula on this halacha. Maise, there's a story, it's a Mishnah in Masechta Maise Sheni that says as follows. The story of Rabbi Gamliel is a Kanim. Rabbi Gamliel and others a Kanim shoybam bisfina. They were coming on a boat. And Rabbi Gamliel remembered that he left produce in his house, in his field, that he didn't take the Maises from it yet. And he's afraid that the people of his family are going to go and eat from it without taking Maiser. So he wanted to separate Maiser right away, even before he gets home. So Rabbi Gamliel says, Isser sha'ani osid lamud, the Maiser that I'm going to measure and give, nosan liYehishua. So I'm designating Maiser, and I'm also giving it to Yehishua. Yeshua was a Levi, and so he's giving it to him. I'm sure Bar Chananya Rashi brings, he was a Levi, so he's giving him this Maiser. And the space where that tefuah is sitting on, I'm renting it to him, and therefore it becomes now his property, and therefore he'll be kaineh this maestris. With the Gemara now understands that this is a kinyan of chotzer, because now the tefuah is in his domain that I'm renting him, and therefore the meiser will be his. Ve'esa acher shani yasad lamud, other meistris I will measure and give, and this is the meiser ani. Nasan la'Akiva ben Yosef, it'll be given to Akiva ben Yosef, kadesh yiskabay la'aniyim. He's going to be zeichen this for poor people. And also the place where this tefuah is there is rented to him, and he'll be kained with a kinyan of chotzer. So now the question of Rabba is, are they standing over there near the place where the kinyan of chotzer is in order to be kind of this meisus for themselves? They're not standing there. And the Gemara understands that this is a chotzer she'ena mishtameres, because he's giving this meisus to Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yeshua, and it's part of the produce which is in his house, and his family can just go and eat it and take it. It's not mishtamer for them. They don't have any, it's not like their private place that it's guarded for them. So it's a chotzer she'ena mishtameres, and still they're not standing there, and it says there that they're kind of this.
But Yeshua and Akiva were one of the Zakanim.
Yeah, probably.
They had to be close.
Yeah. That's what it says. Zakanim. They were from the Zakanim on the boat with Rabbi Gamliel, yeah. Amalei. So when Uller heard this question from Rababa, he answered him, Domi Haimer Rabbanon Kidloy Gamri Inshishmaite. This Rabbanon, Rababa, that asked such a question, he's like a person that never learned any halacha, like he never learned any sugya. How does he ask such a question? It's b'chlal not a question on this. And he didn't even explain what his answer to this question is. He just says it's not a question b'chlal. Okay? So the Gemara goes on to say, Ki yasa l'sura, when Rav Abba came to Surah, Amalahu, he told to the Chachamim in Surah, Hachi Yama. This is the halacha that Ula said that by a chotzer she'eira mishtameres, you're not kain unless you stand there. V'hachi yasvise. And I asked him this question here from this Mishnah, and he wants to know what's the answer to his question. So Amalei Rabbanon. So one of the Rabbanon there answered him that the reason why it's not a question from that Mishnah because it wasn't the kinyan of chotzer b'chlal. Rabbi Gamliel metaltali agav mekarkoi hiknelehem. Over there, the kinyan was something else, a kinyan of agav. The kinyan of agav is if you sell someone a property, along with that property, you can be kind of metaltalin. This is the kinyan of agav in the Gemara in Kiddushin. So over here, he was renting them a piece of his property, and along with the property, there'll be kind of the tvua. And that tvua doesn't even actually have to be there on the property itself to be kind of with the kinyan of agav. The kinyan of agav, you can be kind of the metaltalin wherever it is. There's no halacha of mishtameres over there. It's not a chotzer. It's a kinyan that you're kind of together with a property that you're acquiring. Over here, that's the kind of kinyan that it was. So therefore, it's not a question b'chlal. So the Gemara now discusses this answer. Is this a good answer or not? Rab Zera kibla. Rab Zera, he accepted this answer. But Rab Abba like kibla. Rab Abba, he was the one that asked the question from this Mishnah. He still didn't accept this answer. Amar Rave, so Rave said, Shapir Ovid Deloy Kibla. He's right for not accepting this answer. Why? And he explains like as follows. He's going to explain over here, there's a reason why you can't say that the kinyan here was the kinyan of Agav. Because once you're talking about kinyan Agav, then there would be a much simpler kinyan to do. Did they not have a handkerchief where you could just pick up the handkerchief? You can get the Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yeshua, they can give him a handkerchief and he picks up the handkerchief. This is the kinyan of Chalipin, and then in exchange you acquire the maestris. Can't you just make this kinyan just with a simple kinyan of Chalipin? Why would you need to have that he has to rent them a space on his property, and then you have the kinyan Agav along with that? You could be also kaina. It's not necessary. So Elamai, the Gemara explains like this. Not kinyan Agav works here, not kinyan Chalipin works here. And the reason is as follows. The reason why there's no kinyan, not with Chalipin and not with kinyan Agav, is because Rabbi Gamliel is trying to give them the maestris. Maestris is not really his to give to them. But Rabbi Gamliel doesn't own the maestris. Once he designates and separates the maestris, it's not his b'chlal. The only ownership, the only rights that he has to the maestris is the toivas hana. What's toivas hana? He can choose which kayan or which levi or which poor person to give it to. But he doesn't have an actual ownership in it itself. So therefore, toivas hana is not considered to be a value of money that you have. So if it's not a value of money that you have, so therefore this is not a kind of an object that you're kind of with chalipin or with kinyan agav as well. It's not yours b'chlal. You have to give it as a gift to the kayan, but it's not a kind of thing that you can make a kinyan with it. So therefore, hachanami. So just like the kinyan of chalipin doesn't work, so too toivasana enamam liknas lagav karka. You can't be kaina with the kinyan of agav that together with a piece of karka you'll be kaina also this metaltlin. It has to be yours in order for the kinyan agav to work. It doesn't belong to you. But so therefore, the only way the way Rab Abba understood this Mishnah is the only way it works is he wasn't making any kinyan here, not with chalipin, not with agav. Rather, it's maestris. And it's sort of hefker, doesn't belong to him, and then we have to give it to our kayin. So what he's saying is that space which it's on will belong to Rabbi Gamliel, to not Rabbi Gamliel, sorry, to Rabbi Yeshua or to Rabbi Akiva, and they're going to be kainit with kinyan chatzah, sort of from hefker. He doesn't have any ownership over it. He's going to be kainit with kinyan chatzah by the very fact that it's inside their chatzah. That's how they're going to be kainit. But it's not a kinyan where he's giving to them something that belongs to him. So therefore, Rabbi says, my question is still a question. You must say that this Mishnah is a kinyan of chatzah. And we see over here that the kinyan of chatzah works even when you don't stand there. But the Gemara says on this, v'loihi. What Ravi here said, that it can't be, you can't make a kinyan of agav, just like you can't make a kinyan chalipin, it's not true. Why? Because matnas kohuna nesina ksivabuhu. Regarding matnas kohuna, the Torah says that the mitzvah is that you have to give. You have to give it to the kayan. So you can't give it through a kinyan of chalipin. Chalipin, derach mekecho memkerhu. When you make chalipin, it looks like that you're giving only in exchange for something that I got in return. That the Yisrael is getting this handkerchief, and in return, he's going to give the maisus. You're not allowed to do that. You can't give it in a way of like a sale, of an exchange. That's why chalipin didn't work. So, but metaltlin agav mekarkoi nisina limti. But on the other hand, though, to give it through the kinyan of agav, that's allowed. It's because you're not getting anything in return. You're giving a piece of karka, and along with it, they get the gift of the matnas kahuna. It's not being done with an exchange. The issue is when you're doing it with an exchange, it looks like that you're only giving the Kayin the Meiseris or the Levi the Meiseris in exchange for something else. That's why Chalipin they couldn't do, but the Kinyan of Agav you could do. So here it's the Kinyan of Agav.
So you said he's renting it, so he's getting money for it.
No, but he wasn't getting any money for it. He rented it to them. There wasn't any payment over here. Wasn't getting anything in return.
How did it become his field?
The Kinyan of Agav.
How does it become Yeshua's field if he didn't rent it?
He's renting it to them. Without any money, maybe with a star. He wrote a star. You can be kaina karka with a star also. Probably wrote a document. That's it. Okay, so therefore, what's the conclusion of the Gemara? That there's no question from this story because we could say that the kinyan over there was kinyan agav. It wasn't the kinyan of chotzer. Now the Gemara has another answer. Rav Papa says like this: even if that Mishnah, that story with Rav Gamliel, was the kinyan of Chatzar, over there they don't have to be standing near the Chatzar to be kaina. Why? Das acheres maknois shani. In a case where there's a kinyan, where someone's giving you something or selling you something, over there you can be kaina in your Chatzar even if you're not standing there, even if it's a Chatzar she'eina mishtameres. The whole halacha that the Gemara said before that a Chatzar she'eina mishtameres, you have to be standing there, was all regarding a Metzia. That's what the Mishnah spoke about. But if someone else is giving it to you, that's a much stronger kinyan. He's being makne to you over there, even if you're not standing there, you're going to be kaina. Where do I see that there's a svara to make a difference between a case of a metzia and when someone is selling you something or giving you something? Because in our Mishnah it says, as we learned before, a person sees people are running after the metzia, and the Mishnah says you'll be kainet in your property. Rabbi Yirmiyah, and the name of Rabbi Yechim explained the pshat of the Mishnah. The point of the Mishnah is, in the Mishnah, it's a deer that has a broken foot, or the birds that can't fly. You'll be kind in your chatzar, because if you run after them, you can reach them. So therefore, you're going to be kind to them in your property. That was the halacha that he said. Now on this, Rabbi Yirmiyah had a shaila b'matana. What's going to be the halacha by a matana? If someone gives you a gift and then he puts it in your property, but it's running and you can't necessarily reach it, are you going to say by a matana that you're only going to be kaina if you could reach it when it's in your property? Or even if you can't reach it, even if it's running out, but someone gave you a gift and you placed it into your property, you still will be kaina. So the Gemara says, Kiblo Aminei. He received from him the answer, Rab Abba Bar Kahana. He received the answer from Rab Abba Bar Kahana that by a gift it's different. By a gift, even if someone gives you a gift and he places it into your property and then you can't even reach it, it runs out, you're still going to be kaina. So we see over here that he made a distinction between mitzia, which runs into your property, or a matana that someone gives you. So my time, what's the reason for the difference? The point we said before, lav, don't you think the difference is mishum de das acheres maknois shani? Because when someone's giving you a gift, it's someone that has a das to be makna to you. That's a stronger kinyan. You'll be kaina with a chatzah she'eina mishtameres, even if you can't reach it. The same thing also b'nigeya to the halacha that you have to stand there. This that you have to stand by a chatzah she'eina mishtameres to be kaina is only regarding a mitzia, hefker. But if it's someone that's giving you a gift or selling it to you, you don't have to be standing there. Rav Shimi asked Rav Papa on his answer. Get. What's going to be the halacha by a get? The das acheres maknaisa. Over there by a get, it's the husband that's giving his wife the get. And regarding that, Ula also said that by a get, the woman is only kind of the get if she's standing there by her house where the get is being placed into, or in a courtyard where it's being placed into. So over here you see that the get is only kind of if she's standing there, even though the husband is the one that's giving it to her. So we see that you can't make this kind of distinction. Answers the Gemara, get is a different halacha. Shani get, the reason why a get is different is the isei bal karcha. By a get, where she's kind of, even if the get is given to her against her will, so therefore a get is a different halacha. Over there, it's dafke if she's standing there. And actually, this halacha that Ula says regarding a get, that she has to be standing there in order to be kind of the get, is not only by a chatzah she'eina mishtameres, it's even her house, which is a chatzah mishtameres. Still, she has to be standing there. Get has a different halacha. But the Gemara doesn't accept this svara. The Gemara says, The reason why get is different is because she gets it bal karcha. So the Gemara asks in this, how is that a svara that by get you have an extra condition that she has to be standing there? Maska florav sheishes b'neder avidi. The svara is actually the opposite. V'lav kavachaymehu. Shouldn't you say it's a kavachaymer? Uma get isi bal karcha. You see by a get that the kinyan is much easier, much stronger. That the Torah says if the husband puts it there against her will, she could be kinded against her will. Usually kinyanim doesn't work against her will, but by a get it works against her will. So nevertheless, we say that there's a chumrah. If she's standing there by her house or her courtyard, she'll be kaina. If she's not standing there, she won't be kaina. Matane, when it comes to a gift, the midaite, you kaina the gift only if it's with your awareness, only if you know and you accept it. So like kol shekain, most definitely over here, the halacha should be that only if you're standing there. Sorry, over here for sure the halacha that is should be that even if you're not the halacha again did I say that only if you're standing there you should be kaina just like it is b'negei get. So this is again a question on what Rav Papa said. How could Rav Papa say that when it comes to a kinyan that das acheres makna you don't have to be standing there? If by a get you have to be standing there, for sure b'negei regular kinyan you should have to be standing there. So Elam Ravashi comes and explains the svara of Rav Papa. He's going along with the same svara of Rav Papa that there's a difference if it's a Metzia or if it's das acheres makna, and also there's a difference b'negei to a get. But Rav Papa Ravashi now gives a different explanation for this, and he says as follows: Chatzer is Rabbi Mishum Yad. What's the source, the special source that we find why a chatzer works? So the Gemara already brought before, we started today, you see that chatzer is learned out that it's compared to a yad. It's like a hand, a chatzer is like a hand. But then at the same time though, v'loi gara mishlichis. Even though we have a special drasha that we learn out from yad, but even before the drasha of yad, there would be a svara anyways that chatzer should be kaina because it's no less the power of something that's in your domain, it's no less than a shliach that's acquiring something for you. Right, so even before we have the drasha of yad, it would have been kaina mitzad din of shlichus. When we learn out yad, it's just coming to add that it's kaina not only as a shliach, but even in situations where shlichus would not apply, it's also going to be kaina for yad. So therefore comes out that in chatzer, there's two different aspects of why a chatzer is kaina. Shlichus, and then additionally as a yad. So now we say as follows. When it comes to a get, she's receiving the get against her will, and it's something which is not good for her. So over here, the halacha is that there's no din of shlichus that could apply over here. The din of shlichus is when someone appoints you as a shliach, or even if someone does not appoint you as a shliach, if someone does something for you which is for your benefit, then there's a din of shlichus, like shlichus, schiyah, even if you weren't appointed. But if it's something which is a chay for you, the din of shlichus doesn't apply. So over here, in such a case, what's the kinyan of the chatzer in this case? Only like a yad. So therefore, if the kinyan is only like a yad, over here, we compare the kinyan of chatzer to a yad. What's the halacha by a yad? The yad is right near the person. It's part of the person. It's his hand. So by a get, where the kinyan is not mitzat shlichus, the kinyan is only compared to yad. Therefore, by a get, we say the rule is that the isha must be standing near a chatzer in order to be kaina. Whether it's a chatzer mishlameres, whether it's any mishlameres, it doesn't make a difference. Because over there, the chatzer is just yad, not shlichus. But gabe matane, when it comes to a matane though, this chusuloi, since a matane, someone's giving you a gift. So over here, this is something which is beneficial for you. So over here, it's a schus for you, even without asking you. This is something that has the din just like shlichus, and therefore you'll be kind of this, even if you're not standing there. Because over here, if it's mitzad the din of shlichus, how does shlichus always work? You send a shliach, you're not standing near the shliach in order for the shlichus to work. Same thing, if the chatzah works mitzad the din of shlichus, so you don't have to be standing there in order for it to work. So therefore, this is the difference between get and regular kinyan. And also Rashi says there's the difference between, the Gemara is not going back on the difference that it said before, the difference that Papa said when it comes to a Metzia. So over there, by a Chatzer She'ein Mishtameres, you have to be standing there. But when it comes to someone else, a Das Acheres Makne, over there, you don't have to be standing there. Over there, you kind of mitayra shlichus even without standing there.